What's up, Psychedelic Gypsies? I hope you're having a wonderful long weekend because I know it's 4th of July down in the US and we just had Canada Day up here in Canada. And I hope you had a really good week trying to embody and really feel your emotions instead of just attaching stories to them all the time and spinning off out of control, which is something I definitely do. So I'm here with my beautiful sister, Alexandra, and her and I have been living together for these past few months, and I have learned more about, practical approaches to spirituality through her than I have anybody. And she's been taking this course called dialectical behavioral therapy, and it's basically a practical approach to Buddhism. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just westernized Buddhism, basically.
Yeah. And so today we wanted to talk about guidelines for relationship effectiveness. So oftentimes I feel when I'm like hungry, tired, attached to an emotion or a story, it really
hungry, angry, lonely, or tired.
Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired.
HALT.
There's all these great acronyms in DBT. That basically I will lash out at my partner or the people around me, and this is especially how it goes when I'm getting near my period. So it's really been cool to kind of have this lab with Alexandra because we've been able to practice, like especially when I'm feeling super hypersensitive or emotional, we're able to talk this out a lot better. So it's been really great to do that. So we're going to talk about give, and Alexandra's going to talk about how basically you can apply this in your everyday life and how you do it, actually, because you have been putting all of this work into practice. Mm-hmm. So would you be so kind to take us through the GIVE acronym?
The GIVE skill, as it's known, is it's just a key concept in interpersonal relationships, and just they've put it into an acronym, basically all these things that are necessary or wise to do when you're in a group situation or just one-on-one with another person, and to remember these things and not get kind of caught up in your own story within, which a lot of times I know I do. Instead of listening to the other person, I just think about what's going on with me and what are they saying and how it's affecting me, mm-hmm. instead of truly listening to the other person. And so these are kind of just, it's an acronym of words that you can remember. And so give overall, and just means gentle, interested, validating, and with an easy manner. So I think gentle speaks for itself. You don't attack the person. You don't have a what's it, like an oozy of questions on repeat. You don't don't use a harsh voice. Just remember the word gentle with whatever you're doing. Mm. And on top of that, you don't, I think, and it's a key concept throughout this book, it's don't judge. That's been a big one for me, because I used to think I was a not judgmental person. But having had to look at that throughout this course, I find out that I'm actually judging a lot more than I realized. And so it's nice to be able to step back from that.
Right. Instead of being like, you should, you shouldn't, it's like getting rid of the blame and staying within like that painful conversation instead of like pointing fingers right away.
Yeah. And sorry, I'm having a hard time swallowing. And then so I mean, and that goes along with your body language as well. Don't I find that as sisters, we roll our eyes a lot, or we did, yeah. And it's, it's an antagonistic thing, as well as being very judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and of course, yeah, it's being, like they say here, like when someone's talking to you about something, not rolling your eyes and saying, or cutting them off, walking away, or saying, that's stupid, why are you feeling this way? I don't care what you have to say.
Yeah, that's one of the bigger ones, is when, and it really bugs me when people say, well, why are you feeling like that? Like, that's stupid. Like, it shouldn't cause you to feel that way. But it doesn't matter what it is or what I'm feeling, it's valid. So I don't think I would want to be judged and told that my feelings are not adequate. So I try not to do it to other people. Even if you can, I think, and there's a separation that you can make. Like, you can say that somebody's reaction is maybe not beneficial, but what they're feeling might be is always valid and true.
Mm. Okay, so that's be gentle. Yeah. What is the I?
Interested. So when I'm talking with another person, and what I always try and remember, aside from this book, is people don't remember what you say, but they remember how you make them feel. And so if you can remain interested in conversation and what they're saying and how they're expressing themselves, I mean, even if you have to fake it for a bit, it'll end up being natural, and it really makes the other person feel like worthwhile and like
you matter.
Yeah, like they matter, and that the relationship matters, and that it's not just lip service.
Yeah, so they say face the person, maintain eye contact, lean towards the person, don't interrupt or talk over.
Yeah.
And also be sensitive, and this is one that's really hard for me, to the person's wish to have the discussion at a later time. I'm someone who's not patient, and I want to fix things now. But sometimes you just have to leave it and cool off and come back to it later.
Yeah. But I mean, then there's people that continually avoid uncomfortable subjects and will always try and escape a conversation. So it's a fine line.
Yes. Okay, V, validate, which I think is probably one of the most important ones.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just assuring the other person that what they have to say is important, what they feel is important, what they do is important. Because, I think, like Emily and I were just discussing before, we're all connected in the universe, whether that's just by oxygen or the same oxygen that we breathe, or is by proximity, or by the same emotions that we're all feeling. Like, we all feel the same. We all have felt the same thing that the person next to us on the bus has felt. And I think by validating what they have to say or whatever, it makes it easier to relate on a human level, and it makes me feel like more of a part of something, rather than saying, like, when I judge people or invalidate somebody, I can come off as condescending, and I definitely feel inside like I'm better than, but nobody is.
And that's like what I was talking about this with somebody else, like, we aren't our thoughts and opinions, actually, and those require a ton of energy to uphold all the time. And so what I always found, and probably because of growing up in the same house, it's like we definitely created this otherness, like they don't think like us, so they're like kind of not as good as us, or they're stupid, or they're invalid, basically. And so I think a huge part of radical acceptance is like accepting whatever anybody else says, but knowing that even if you just you don't have to fight everything that everybody says. And I definitely was like that. Like, I can see myself slipping back into that. I think you have to choose your battles ultimately. But yeah, instead of like fighting every opinion that somebody else have, now I just like let them have it. Why do I need to fight it? It's not like who I am. And it doesn't mean I'll become that. I just merely accept that that's how they're thinking, and not trying to change it or fix it all the time.
Yeah, I agree. That's a hard one, because I always feel like I need to fix other people's ways of being so that they fall in line with whatever my ideal is.
Right.
But I don't understand that.
And I was trying to remember this, like, everybody, no matter what path they're on, they have the potential or the ability to like open up or awaken spiritually. As corny as that sounds, but everyone's walking their own path. And so I have no business being like, you need to change this, you need to change that. Like, instead, now I'm just letting them be and accepting that that's just the way they are.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. E.
That just stands for ease. And the way that was explained to me is like, if you're in a dinner party, not everything that you talk about needs to be heavy. You know, you don't want to talk about Roe v. Wade and Trump, or in Canada, Trudeau, at a dinner party, just to have passion and feeling in a conversation, just to make the dinner party worthwhile. I think you can approach conversations with a lot more, like, how do I want to say this? The conversations that we're having every day, even if it's mundane things, or you're talking about what someone did today, and they're sitting next to you at the dinner party, and you're talking about their daughter who you really don't give a shit about, but it's with a sense of ease and acceptance, then you're going to feel a lot better at the end of the day, than if you had said some wild and crazy offensive stuff just to make a point, or to get some reaction.
Yes. Which is basically our dinner time growing up. Was always just like, who could say the most crazy thing for some reaction?
Yeah.
And then someone would blow up, and most of the time it was good. But I would actually also like to tie that into, that was also because we've devalued a lot of our feminine energy, being able to like hold space or create a container for being more receptive. Before, I would, like, if I was at a dinner party or even coaching, I was bulldozing. I was like, you have to do it this way, and if you're not doing it this way, like, fix, make it perfect, blah, blah, blah. And now, even today, I was just noticing, like, I have softened, because instead of being this hard shell all the time, now I'm like opening up to the, like, oh, okay, I'm going to be like, this person is struggling, so I'm going to just like be there to support them, not necessarily be like, do it better, fix it. So I've actually noticed, like, because I've incorporated more of like these feminine practices and realizing that it's a power, people feel like it feels better. The space feels better around me, and I'm more conscious of creating like that really awesome space to bring people up, instead of always being like, you need to be perfect. Like, no, do it better. I was very hard. And it's cool now that I see like that juxtaposition.
Yeah. I like, and kind of along with what you're saying, I feel like I've gotten better at just communicating with people, because I'm actually am interested in kind of the minutia of people's day to day, or at least I can act interested, and I have more of a quietness to me than I did before when talking with people, because it's the little day-to-day things that make up a person.
Right. kind of the ordinariness.
Yeah. I think I was always scared of ordinary. I'm like, oh, why are we talking about this? It's so mundane. It's so boring. It's just so trivial, but it's not.
Right. It's actually super powerful. And Alexandra actually told me something just before we wrap this up. I wanted to talk about how the length of an emotion. And I thought this was really powerful because I've also noticed in Alexandra and myself, when I feel something very intensely, now I can almost, and this is what Tara Brach says, to drop into your body and like name it and label it, like how you're feeling it. And then I've noticed like both of us are getting better at maybe removing ourselves and for the length of that emotion. So what do you do when you feel something super intense and you like the, angry little girl inside of you just wants to scream and yell and punch? Because that's what mine wants to do.
Well, I was told a while ago that, on average, a strong emotion only lasts about 4 to 4.5 minutes. So if you keep that in mind, it's an easier thing to just kind of walk away from and observe from a distance. Because when we're in the moment, it feels like that emotion is all consuming, and it's going to be like that forever. And, if you let it take over you, then it really just chips away every time you have a strong emotion. It just little pieces of you get lost in that. So it's easier just to remember that they don't last that long. So let's just observe it from afar, like snow in a snow globe, and not react on it.
Yeah. And I've noticed Alexandra like practicing that, where I can see maybe she's feeling something and then she'll maybe remove herself and then come back to it later and be able to say, like, set a boundary or say something that with a lot more clarity. And I still find myself reacting, especially with my partner. Like they say something and I will react to that instead of watching or observing those emotions that are inside me, because again, they aren't me. That's just something that is boiling up and probably needs a little bit more clarity and observance. So so then you don't feel fragmented all the time. You actually feel very still and able to process and let them come in. And I guess that's the radical acceptance is, like they're all allowed to be there and they're always going to be there. It's never going to get easier. You're never going to be this Zen master. I guess it's just the Zen master is just observing everything that comes up, which can get hard when you're hangry.
Well, I mean, it's just hard I'm good at it with certain people, so thanks for saying that. But like when it comes to, for example, like our mom, I just like lose it.
Yeah.
I just lose it, even with like stupid small things. And then days later, I'll feel really bad about it, and just, and then start like having strong emotions about that. So it's nice to say that you've seen me grow, but like in certain ways, it's really difficult.
Absolutely. And I think there's always going to be people or situations that'll trigger us right back. It feels like we're taking 5 steps backwards. Fuck, I can't believe I just did that.
Yeah.
But I think that's also part of radical acceptance. It's like, okay, like how can when I feel really shitty about myself, I always try to think, okay, how can I give myself a little bit of compassion, self-compassion right now? Because beating myself up doesn't feel very good. No. So then you can but that's all part of the awareness, right? Like, flying off the handle and, being grumpy or angry, like it's always going to happen. And I guess that's 70% of the work we do, right? You try your best, and then the 30% you're just going to fuck it up. But that's the human experience, right? And I guess like the goal is just to not fuck it up so bad that you end up like hitting someone with your car during a road rage incident.
Like I think one of the goals, or one of the 3 kind of precepts of I guess like at least Zen Buddhism is equanimity, and that just it means there's like a stability of character and of emotion. And that's something that, I strive for every day. But you can't just strive for it and want it. You have to act on it. And so that's why things like the give skill are really important, because they help us maintain or achieve a semblance of equanimity.
Right. Awesome. Well, yeah, and I guess that's really, it's like, because like emotions, they say consciousness is waves, and if you can like kind of find that really that middle path in that wave all the time, instead of like, and Alexandra and I were talking about this earlier this week, the highs and lows, like living like that, not only very fragmented, but it's exhausting to live like, oh, I'm happy now, so everything's good, and then like 5 minutes later, bam, you're in the basement, and you're like, fuck everybody, and you're attached to all these stories.
Yeah.
So yeah, equanimity. I like that. So that will be our intention for this week: equanimity in character and striving for some stability and inner peace through the practical application of the give skill. So I will post up the give skill underneath this video, and have a lovely week, my psychedelic gypsies. And thanks so much, Zez, for joining us. Thanks, them. You're so beautiful. All right. Have a wonderful week. Take care.